Most people don't have a money problem, they have a comfort problem. One of the biggest kept secrets of entrepreneurs is the mentality behind being broke and being wealthy. And we're going to dive into this today to discuss a little bit about that, because being broke is a reality for a lot of people, but it's also a mindset. And if I can help contribute and expand your mind and then open your heart up a little bit to listen to what we're going to share today, I'm hoping that it challenges your mind and you begin to view things a little different, and your perspective shifts with having a broke mentality versus having a wealthy mentality. What I really realized is that being broke, you might be broke now currently. You might have $10 in your bank account, but not having money in your bank account doesn't mean that you don't have the ability here to develop something or begin to learn or begin to grow or begin to watch things online and learn, or YouTube is the most masterful thing that you can use to learn anything in this day and age. And so one of the things that I've experienced is that broke people consume. I read a book a long time ago called Wild at Heart. And it talks about how as a man growing up, when you reach a certain level and you enter into your adulthood, into manhood, there's a differentiation between a boy and a man. And the difference of that is a boy consumes, but a man creates. And so it's the same thing with this mentality when it comes to money. Is a broke mentality is going to consume. You're going to scroll on TikTok, you're going to consume videos, consume content. You're going to get your paycheck, you're going to go eat fast food until you don't have any money, you're going to go buy the things you don't need. But a wealthy mentality creates something. And so creating something doesn't always have to look like you're spending money on something. Creating something could be using your own hands or expanding your mindset into different things that you want to get into. Broke people spend and wealthy people invest. In that moment, you're faced with a decision mentally. You haven't acted on it. You haven't gone out and bought the phone, started the plan, and upgraded it. But mentally, it's right there. Like, you want to go do it. You have that desire. You have that ambition to go get the new phone, get the new product, go spend the money to do it. A lot of the times what I've seen is, especially in the close friends that we surround ourselves with, some of these people might be some of the wealthiest people you'll ever encounter, but they still drive a vehicle that's 20 years old. You don't always need the new thing. Sometimes it's smarter to hold on to what you have now and delay some of that gratification down the road till you can really afford to get it. What that does is for me personally, in some of our videos we've talked about, basically delayed gratification, where the money that we have been making, we reinvest it into the company so we can grow and scale and really develop the team around us. And so if you take that same concept and convert it into your own personal life, take whatever you're currently walking in, what you're wanting to do, what you're wanting to buy, what you're wanting to get into, and fit it inside of that mold and say, okay, do I really need these items? Because that funnels back into consumerism versus creativity. You can go out there and buy whatever you want to. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions. But you're also making your own decisions. If you want to stay broke, continue to consume. If you want to gain and begin to build wealth and create a legacy for your family, it's time you begin to create something. Spending money for me has always been a challenge. Not because I don't like to spend money, but it's because my wife is very frugal, and I have been the one in our marriage to say, well, hey, we can just go get this right now. And she's always been the one to say, no, we don't need that right now. Let's hold off for a little while. Let's get it when we can afford it. That's not me. And so I'm speaking about this from a place of really having to change my mindset and adopt a new way of thinking in order to get to where we are now and really to get to where I believe we're going. And so my tendency has always been to spend first, but I've had to completely come to terms with that. I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, Alex, we're not spending any more money. We're gonna make a sacrifice right now for this season. And if we sacrifice for this time, down the road in the future, we can live like how we want to. And so for me, that was a decision that I made. And so, I have that tendency to go spend money and to go get, the new iPhone, or to go get the new pair of work boots, or whatever it might be to justify getting the job done quicker, easier, or better. And so, but I've had to shift that and adopt to this new way of thinking. And so now, instead of wanting to go spend money, now I constantly think about how I can invest money, or I can reinvest money that I do make into something that will produce more down the road. And so when you get the first taste of investing money versus just spending it on nothing that doesn't give you any sort of return or any sort of value or really satisfaction in it, and you invest it into something that gives you a return, returns don't always look like a monetary return. Sometimes it's a relational return. Sometimes we invest and we give to others to see them grow and learn and succeed in whatever they're doing. And so we've just learned that, could we go out and spend money and buy, all this stuff that we really don't need? Yeah, we could, but we'd rather invest it into what we're building and what we're growing, so that later down the road, when we do want to spend money on something, it doesn't affect our monthly budget. We can do it with freedom. We can do it without any guilt of spending money. And so that's one of the biggest dynamics is wealthy people, they spend money, don't get me wrong, but they've chosen to invest their money first and then spend it later. Broke people will do the opposite. They'll spend it now and have nothing to invest later. And so think about that and see where in your mind, where in your life that you can make a decision to not spend money and maybe invest money. And I'm not talking investments, stock market, any of those things if you're not in a position to do that. I'm talking about invest your money into something to where you can learn something. You can expand your thinking, expand your mindset into learning something to change your mindset. And even if it's buying a book, investing in a book, investing in your own education, just do something that's going to help you learn and grow and get into a different spot that you might be right now. This next one is my favorite out of the three. Broke people avoid risk and wealthy people learn risk. Now let me explain that. I have always had a risky nature. I will, if I think something's a good idea, if I think that, God is in it and he's, put it on my heart to go do, I will jump off the cliff not knowing if there's water below me, and I will pray on the way down that there is. And so far, thankfully, for the most part, there has been. And it's mainly been because it's mainly because early on I did fail. I fell flat on my face numerous times because I took a risk, but I didn't educate myself enough to be able to know if it was a risk or not. That's the biggest dynamic change right there. If you enter into something and you're not educated into what it is and the potential downfall or the negative aspects that could make you fail, that's what you call a bad idea. Now, if you're faced with a decision or an opportunity that requires risk, it's your obligation to educate yourself as much as you can to make a good decision on whether or not you're going to enter into that opportunity or not. So for me, I will dive in and research on Google and YouTube. I'll do feasibility studies, analysis of whatever I can get my hands on before I say yes to an opportunity. Because what I'm doing by using those methods is I'm educating myself enough to say, yes, I think this is a great idea, or no, I think it's a horrible idea, I'm not touching it. But nobody's coming to save you. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you probably need to learn and figure out very early on is nobody's coming to save you. You are responsible for yourself. If you don't put the work in now, if you don't change your mindset, if you don't begin to learn and grow and expand your way of thinking in order to get into business or entrepreneurship, there will be a point in time where you take a risk that is uneducated and you do fall flat on your face. For me, I try to surround myself with people that have failed numerous times and are successful now because I want to learn and I want to grow from them. I want to be a sponge and absorb every bit of knowledge and wisdom that they have and that they can give me so that I don't fall into the same traps or pitfalls in business or personal life or marriage that maybe they have along the way. And I think that's one of the greatest bits of advice or wisdom that I can share with you is surround yourself with people that have a wealthy mindset and that will help pull you along and raise you up and help you avoid the pitfalls and traps that they fell into. If you've made it this far and you realize that you might have a broke mentality, I want to challenge you and tell you to do whatever you need to now Don't procrastinate. Don't just scroll to the next video or click on the next item and forget any of this stuff. If you have a broke mentality, if any of this hit home with you, I want to challenge you to really begin to think different and look into your own life and see how and what you could change and do differently, and basically get to a point where you make the decision that I'm going to change what I'm doing now so that I can be different and do different things down the road. Because here's the reality. You need different habits if you want a different life.